And we'll call to order the Blythewood Town Council meeting. Today is Monday, July the 27th, 2026. The time is 6 p.m. Ms. Durst, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Hovis. Here. Councilman Brock. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Fritz. Here. Councilman McHenrick. Here. Mayor Griffin.
Here, thank you, ma'am. Was the agenda posted according to state law?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, before you have the agenda, but before I ask for a motion to approve as recommended, I do ask that you consider two adjustments. One will be to add a proclamation presentation right under public comment, and that will be for supporting the First Fruits Community Park and Garden. And the second one would be under new business to remove item F, and that's resolution 2026.006 in support of a little free library to be placed in Doco Meadows Park. Yes, ma'am, remove it.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to postpone under new business item C, resolution 2026.003, and take an opportunity, should the motion pass, to give my reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion made to approve. Looking for a second.
I'll make a second to approve those amendments, the agenda as adopted, or rather as amended.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion?
I have some discussion to
Yes,
make
ma'am.
regarding that. I'd like to just offer a brief opportunity to explain why I'd like to postpone the newly written Town Freedom of Information Act. And number one, overall, I believe it's overly punitive and overly restrictive to the citizens, not within the spirit with which the law was written, which is to give access to government, access to documents, and make it easy. Not that I support frivolity. I don't support being frivolous and requesting things that take a lot of time unnecessarily. I do believe they should have meaning. But the first part of the newly revised document states that citizens need to provide specific descriptive information and have it be detailed. And that is a big ask. It's also subjective, but I think it's overly punitive when you're asking for some information, names, dates, topics, and as best you can describe so that we can retrieve the information that is rightfully due to you would be acceptable. So that's my first concern. The second concern I have is passing on third-party costs. So if we are unable and don't have the staff with which to retrieve the information that you have duly asked for, we could use a third party. Now, of course, we're going to have to pay a third party. Those charges we would pass on to you in this statute as written. In this policy as written. I don't believe that's necessary, though FOIA doesn't directly address that. I think it is improper because we don't have the staff. Maybe you have the same FOIA request for Richland County as for the town of Blythewood. It would cost you $500 here, it would cost you $50. In Richland County, I believe that's disproportionate and not fair to the citizens. My third concern is this particular revision is asking that we are able to pass on the costs that we incur when we ask for legal review. And that might be necessary at times, but I don't think that is something that is permitted by FOIA, that we should only limit it to the search, the actual retrieval of the documents, the copying of costs, and that would go to the lowest paid. That would be a derivative of the lowest paid employee in the organization. And then I don't believe that we should have to be hamstringed and not be able to waive fees. This policy as written says that the town manager is the only one that can waive a fee. I think the council is perfectly capable of waiving a fee, and FOIA says that documents may be furnished when appropriate without charge or with a reduced price, with which we currently, as the policy is written present day, are able to do that. I believe that's overly restrictive. My final comment would be on commercial solicitation. I think we all know that when you request FOIA, you would likely get some information that might not be that you may not want to share, or people would not want shared with other people, such as personal information. And that is prohibited. And we are asking in this policy that you, as a requester of FOIA, sign a document that says that you will not use that information for commercial solicitation. That is in the law. You shouldn't do it anyway. We don't need to yet hamper the citizens again by adding on additional policies that I believe are unnecessary. And that concludes my reasons for asking that this amendment be postponed.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any further discussion on the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, is the request to indefinitely postpone this, which would make it reoccurring on next month's agenda, or?
Ms. Hovis, is that your goal? Because I got postponed.
Correct.
Which will come back.
Indefinitely.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. All right. Item F has been removed so that there's 2 individuals requesting libraries, and Mr. Poland is working with them. So we'll do a separate ceremony. So all members of council will be invited to those little library ceremonies. And the proclamation, since for that explanation, was just brought to my attention by Mr. Poland that it wasn't on our reprinted agendas. Any further discussion? Go ahead, roll call now.
Councilwoman Hovis,
Yes.
Councilman Brock,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fritz,
Yes.
Councilman McKenrick,
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, thank you. Agenda has been amended. At this time, would you please join Mayor Pro Tem Fripp for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation?
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me for a moment of prayer. Bow your heads. Lord, we just thank you for this opportunity to come together this afternoon to do the business of the town of Blythewood. We thank you for each and every person that has gathered here today. And we just ask that you watch over each of us as we leave this place and we go about to our homes. Lord, we just ask all these things in your son's name. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'll pause for council member remarks, starting to my right. Thank you. All right, we'll move to my left. Any remarks?
Just had a good time yesterday. The town had an employee appreciation at the Fireflies baseball game, and it was enjoyable, and just glad to see everyone who came out.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. All right, we'll close council member remarks. We'll move to mayor's remarks. None, we'll close that. We'll move to item H, approval of minutes, special call meeting June 17th, and town council regular meeting June 22nd. I'll be looking for a motion to approve those minutes as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I have read those minutes and they appear to be an accurate
Yes, sir.
recording of what happened, so I would make a motion to approve as presented.
Yes, sir. Motion made to approve. Looking for a second.
Second.
Second made. Any discussion? Thank you. All in favor of approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Minutes are approved. I'll pause for a moment for public comment as I read this, even if you haven't signed up. Historically, I do pause and let members of the public come to the microphone and proceed with your comments. Public comment, this portion of the meeting is designated for the public comments as provided for by municipal ordinance. Public comments, thank you, must be limited to the items on the agenda. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to address council. All comments will be entered into the official record, and no action will be taken during the hearing itself. I'll pause for a moment. We have no one signed up, but I will pause as I always do. All right, thank you. We will close public comment, Ms. Durst, 6:10. Moving on to boards and committee updates. Doco Meadows Park Foundation, Councilwoman Hovis. Thank you. Oh, thank you, sir. Looking at the wrong writing. Before we go back, I got to go back. Proclamation. So at this moment, I'll ask all members of council have signed the proclamation physically. Mr. Poland is the recipient here this evening for the proclamation. All right. How you doing, sir? Good, good. I'll get you to stand at the podium. I'm going to read the proclamation, and then all members of council and myself will come out and take a picture with you and shake your hand.
I'd like to say I'm not alone.
Yes, I'm going to give you a moment to, yes, sir. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that portion now. We don't have any order, but the floor is yours. So we appreciate you being here this evening. And then we're looking forward to learning more and being interacting with you and your group. So the floor is yours. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate that, sir. I had a real nice lunch about a week and a half ago with Mr. Poland and the First Fruits Community Park and Garden. Okay. The First Fruits Community Park and Garden Association is brand new, 501c3, and we are at the genesis of our soon-to-be grant writing and fundraising phases. But for actually a couple of years now, the notion has been kind of percolating at the ground level to do something for Blythewood that would be inclusive of the entire community. A place where people can come to enjoy a state-of-the-art playground for people of all abilities and ages, some raised garden beds to the tune of about 70 to 80 of them. Okay, let's go with 60, 60 of those. And then also some sports courts, again, that bring people together, mainly pickleball courts and so forth. And it's going to be at 441 Reimer Pond Road, right next to one of the elementary schools. And again, it's going to be a place that people of all walks of life from Blythewood and even outside of Blythewood can come together and enjoy one another's company. It's going to be a state-of-the-art equipment and so forth. We will have to raise about $1.5 million. But we've had members on our board who are very experienced in doing that. We know it's not going to be an easy task, but we believe it will indeed be a worthwhile task. So with that in mind, we are reaching out to community leaders, community organizations who see the value in what we're trying to do. And you all really were one of our first targets for obvious reasons. To hopefully, I came to Mr. Poland to ask about a statement of support, and it was actually his idea about a proclamation, which I thought was great. And we will reach out to other leaders. I am in the process of playing phone tag and text tag and so forth with the executive officer of the Chamber of Commerce for Blythewood and with other community leaders, be they Richland County and so forth. And then we will expand to the grant writing with individual businesses, corporations, some of whom I'm sure you all will presume we will try to meet with, and again, show them the value of that. The park will have naming rights for major donors and so forth, and we will work through all that. I personally do have experience, which over the last 12 years, Blythewood Town Council has been very supportive of, and that is the Centennial Park at Fort Jackson. You all were very gracious several years ago to give us quite a bit of money for something that is going to celebrate Fort Jackson's 100-year anniversary, which is actually in 2017. That project was significantly more, to the tune of $3 million. We're almost to the finish line on that. But the reason I mention that, again, is Blythewood Town Council was part of that support mechanism when we were working with that. So without further ado, again, on the behalf of our board, I want to say thank you for issuing a proclamation of support. We know it doesn't guarantee financial funding or anything like that. But again, to show that you all see the value in what we're trying to do means a lot. And we believe it will carry an immeasurable amount of credibility going forward to those who can and are willing to possibly consider that. So without further ado, just tell me what to do and, and I'll do it.
Well, we definitely appreciate you this afternoon for joining us, thinking about us as a council. You know how we feel about the town, just as you feel about the town. So I'm going to pause, and if council members have a questions or remarks before we read. Cool. All righty. And then after I read, we'll get a picture. Ms. Jordan will guide us to how we take a picture, and Ms. Barbara Ball will guide us on photographs afterwards.
Okay.
Whereas the town of Blythewood values projects and enhancements and that enhance the quality of life of its residents through recreation, education, environmental stewardship, and community engagement. Whereas the First Fruits Community Park and Garden Association is working to develop a community park and garden intended to provide walking trails, gardens, accessible recreational amenities, educational opportunities, and gathering spaces for residents and visitors. And whereas the proposed project reflects the spirit of volunteerism, collaboration, and community partnership by bringing together citizens, businesses, churches, schools, civic organizations, and other supporters in a shared effort to benefit the greater Blythewood community. And whereas the mayor and town council recognize the potential community benefits of the First Fruits Community Park and Garden and commend and dedication of its board of directors, volunteers, and supporters. Now therefore it be proclaimed that the mayor and town council of the town of Blythewood hereby recognize the vision of the First Fruits Community Park and Garden and acknowledge its anticipated contributions to the cultural, recreational, educational, and civic life of our community. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation is intended as an expression of community recognition and support and does not constitute a financial obligation or commitment by the town of Blythewood. In witness, therefore, I hereby set our hands to the seal of Blythewood, effective this date, the 27th, the day of July 2026. So congratulations. We're proud of you, and we're looking forward to what you will bring to this community. Now we're on Jordan's time and Miss Barbara Ball. Thank you, and again, congratulations. We're looking forward to coming through, spending time at the park. Next item, boards and committee updates. We already started with Ms. Hovis with Doco Meadows Park Foundation. No report. Myself, same traffic, no report. Richland County Transportation Penny Tax Committee, TPAC, Councilman McKendrick.
No, Mr. Mayor, no significant report.
Thank you, sir. Staff reports, town manager report. Town manager Doug Poland.
Sure. I have excused Miss Edwards. I have her report for her going forward. If y'all ever want her to be here, then obviously we'll have her here, but I have all the numbers for you. As far as my personal report, everything that I give you every week is in the packet. The only thing to add is the air conditioning. I'll be meeting with our low bidder tomorrow and trying to get everything worked out so we can get air fixed in this building. As for the financial report, just to point out these numbers are not audited numbers and will change once the audit is processed. We received our Dominion franchise fees after June 30th, and that was in the amount of $184,780. That brings us to an annual franchise amount of $768,648 for the year against a budget of $600,000. So it's a little bit more than the budget. For other things, for total revenue for June of 26, $1,576,137. We get franchise fees as well as final business license fees from MASC in June, which is why that last month is always quite large. So our total revenue year to date is $6,712,218 against a budget of $5,106,595. Total expenses for June were $640,272. Total expenses year to date, $3,367,638 against a budget of $5,121,505. That's it. That's my
All right. Thank you, sir. Any questions for our town manager? Hearing none. Thank you, sir. Next item, old business, item A, second and final reading of ordinance 2026.008 to amending the code of town of Blythewood to remove specific fees amounts and to provide the applicable fees to be established by the town. Mr. Poland.
So this is just following up from last month when we moved the Doco Manor fees and some planning fees from the Code of Ordinance into the Master Fee Ordinance. And we have another one of these coming up later tonight, but this just starting to clean up that code so that we can make it easier for the public to know what our fee structure is for all the things that we do, and also make it a little more transparent for everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Doug, no changes from first reading?
There is a change, Councilman, and I'll address it real quick. Mr. Poland and I have talked about this in the master fee schedule. The first part of that schedule deals with charges and fees for requests. And there is a section with an asterisk, and the language in there, I think, is still up for debate based on what we have discussed about the FOIA policy as of late. So the amendment in that language for the asterisk is to remove all of that language and just to say, see FOIA policy, comma, as may be amended from time to time, comma, for additional details.
From charge for the actual cost to search,
Right.
retrieve, redact records down.
Yes, where it starts at based on the actual cost.
Yes, sir.
all Those 5 lines would be deleted, and in their place, language would say, see FOIA policy as may be amended from time to time for additional details.
Any other changes?
That's the only change.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve as amended by the town attorney.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Dersh, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Hovis. Yes. Councilman Brock.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Fritz.
Yes.
Councilman McHenry.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, thank you. 5-0 vote passes. Next item is new business. Item A, first reading of ordinance 2026.010 to remove building permit fees from the code of ordinance and to adopt the ICC building valuation data as the standard for permit evaluations. Mr. Poland.
All right, so this is a follow-on from the last ordinance. This would remove currently the building fees directly from the ordinance and put it in the master fee schedule. Also, it makes this change where we adopt the ICC building valuation data. Currently, the way we charge for a building permit is more of a set fee, whereas the International Code Council gives all of its members new fee data approximately every 6 to 8 months. They just say, all right, this is the new inflationary price per square foot of a house. And this is at a recommendation from our building inspection service, RCI. And basically it puts us in a position where our fees are fairly similar to like communities in our area. Historically, we've been considerably lower. And so RCI wanted to actually raise their percentage of fees that they would keep because our fees were so low compared to our neighboring communities. So this puts us on a track where we are closer to our neighboring communities, but also every time ICC releases new numbers, we would simply adopt those numbers and we wouldn't have to come back to you every time. These are just standard numbers used nationwide per square foot for things like commercial, residential, industrial, and the like. And actually, because this adopts also the fee schedule, it probably needs the same amendment because this fee schedule will have that asterisk.
Doug, will RCI leave their fees? If we do this, will RCI leave their fees alone?
That's correct.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt first reading of ordinance 2026.011 as amended by the town administrator and the attorney.
010, and I'll second
I'm
that.
sorry, 010.
All right, thank you. Motion made in second. Discussion. Roll call, Ms. Durst.
Councilwoman Hovis. Yes. Councilman Brock.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Fritz.
Yes.
Councilman McHenry.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, thank you. 5-0 passes. Next item is first reading of ordinance 2026.001 to repeal chapter 35 of the code of ordinance and adopt a new chapter 35, purchasing and procurement. Mr. Poland.
Okay, so this is just my further efforts to clean up some of our existing code. Right now, we're going through a lot of purchasing. We have RFPs due this Friday for the comprehensive plan and the other plans that we have in connection with that, like beautification and the like. And I noticed that the procurement ordinance that we have currently, some changes were made very recently just to add in the position of town manager, but a lot of the procurement does come from 10 or 20 years ago, especially some pricing levels that need to come to council for things over $5,000. Pretty much everything's over $5,000 now. And so it's kind of bringing it up to a modern level. Obviously, anything that's not budgeted would still come to y'all. Anything that's over a budgeted amount would come to y'all. But it does give staff a bit more freedom to purchase things that y'all have effectively already told us that we can buy without having to come back every month and ask. And so I have included in your packet the current procurement ordinance, the new procurement ordinance, and how that works.
Thank you. Any questions? Give me 1 second, ma'am. Discussion from council. All right. I'll be looking for,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve first reading of ordinance 2026.011 as presented by Mr. Poland.
thank you, sir.
Second.
Second made, discussion. Hearing none. Roll call vote, Ms. Oates.
Councilwoman Hovis. Yes. Councilman Brock.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Fritz.
Yes.
Councilman McHenry.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, thank you. Next item is item C, resolution 2026.004 to adopt a town purchasing policy. Mr. Poland.
All right, so that purchasing policy should be in front of you, and for some reason, the resolution did not get included in your packet, so you should have received the resolution as well on the table this evening.
We didn't.
Did you not? Everything was so screwed up with this thing. So do you not have the purchasing policy?
No, sir.
No.
Oh, great.
What was it for your policy?
Okay.
My thought again.
We can go out and get copies for you tonight.
You just want to skip it?
Can
for
you
now?
give us-
Copies?
Do you want
Mr.
to,
Mayor, I'll make a motion to move item C down to item F and move everything up one so we can keep going while copies are being made.
without objection?
Yep.
All right, thank you. We'll move this down to the end so to allow copies to be made. Give me 1 second. No, I'm sorry. No, we're good.
It doesn't need-
I'll write my notes. All righty, we will move to the next item, which is resolution 2026.005 in support of the town farmers market. And y'all have copies of that as well on the table?
We do not.
Not on the table, but
It's in
it's
our
in the
packet.
packets.
Okay. Do y'all need copies?
It's in the packet.
I don't see the resolution in the packet.
It's on page 75 of your packet.
Yeah.
Got it.
Give me 1 second.
Something.
Okay, I'm gonna try to wing this with this. I can't see, but. All right, so we're gonna try to continue on. We'll get those copies and any other copies. Mr. Poland, if you got staff going to get copies, just go ahead and run the entire resolution. Do y'all have copies while I'm at that? Do you have copies of the renewal contract as well?
It's in the packet.
I'm just double checking while we, okay. All right, we'll go ahead and do the farmer's market. This resolution, thank you, Mr. Poland. This resolution, I seen it. This resolution recognizing and accepting state funding in the amount of $650,000 for the construction of a farmer's market pavilion at Doco Meadows Park, establishing a project timeline with goal of sustaining completion by the start of the 2027 Blythewood Farmers Market season, authorizing support for additional fundraising efforts through the Doco Meadows Park Foundation, including farmers market vendors in the design input process, and expressing support for the continued development of the Blythewood Farmers Market. For this, I asked for this to be put on the agenda, and I appreciate the farmers market vendors. I appreciate the executive director for showing up, and Mr. Paul Mascotti, yes, from the Doco Meadows Park Foundation. What I want to do is, because this project has been on the line for a long time, and we have some historical, two historical members, along with Mr. Paul Mascotti, former Mayor Keith Bailey, in this, and I want to make sure that we include them in on this vision. Our job as representatives is to work for you. Through that process, each one of us have strengths and weaknesses. During our budget process, I'm always asking and lending and hearing the same thing that members of council are hearing. The $650,000 came from the state, taking a chance at the opportunity to ask for money, to see what we could get. Beautification was our top project. When I sat down with counterparts and asked for beautification, buying plants and flowers and trees wasn't on the state's mind at that time. We own facilities, and we can't do something for something that we don't own as a municipality. So trying to figure out where can we take advantage of state funding. The park came into it because we have used the park before. Councilman Brock and myself, under the last administration, went and got the first earmark money that was used in this park. So our park is our biggest asset to the town, and it's something that you all own, and that we put together policies and financial stewardship to move it forward. With that being said, through some of those discussions, a number of things came up, and the farmers market fits a multifaceted type of mold. Facilities are often used as beautification in parks, but it's also used as a pivotal point for healthy eating, recreation, and along with the other host of things. So the farmers market became the birth of that conversation to see what we could get. My original asking was 1.5 million. 1.5 million was the original asking. We were asked to move that up. And I talked with Michaela at that time about going to 2 million, but I knew that we would get somewhere within the amount that we could get. We went to the table with zero. We walked away with $650,000. I'm proud of that. I think that's a worthwhile project. Michaela Barno, she provided the data, Mr. Paul Mascotti, that we needed to go after those funds. That wasn't a Sloan Griffin mayor project. That was a true community project. Those data points that you all provided, the structural pieces that Mayor Bailey provided to me for the park and the vision, the long-term vision here, that just fits exactly what they're doing, what the state, our legislator envisioned for this area that he represents. So being said, I want to make sure that we have pictures, and we're going to show these pictures. Thank you, Mr. Mascotti, for getting those pictures of the renderings. I think there's been, 13 years, if my math served me correct, that these renderings have been around. So we had to do some work to find them, but we were blessed to find these renderings. What I want to do is take, do you want Michaela to go first, sir, talking about the farmer's market? Miss Michaela. What's that?
It's not.
See, thanks. There we go. That helps. Great. So thank you. I definitely appreciate so much the funding that has come along for this. I was 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I was asked by your predecessor council to please start a farmer's market because the vision for this town was that there be a farmer's market in Doco Meadows Park. And a farmer's market that was worthy of construction of a pavilion like this that, you know, Mayor Bailey had the vision for, so even before I moved here. And it just so happens that, you know, my friends here from Blythewood Presbyterian Church were the ones who like got behind me. Yeah, I mean, seriously, like your husband made me a logo and you guys had some, you know, you brought out the, you know, the Blythewood Community Garden. And so like they helped me in the, and they introduced me to Jason Murphy, who's here. And then Alan was going to my church too. And we just were like, it was just all of these people that just sort of came together and we were like, well, hopefully we can turn it into something. And for those of you who did come to the July 1st Farmers Market, it is a full-on community event at this point. The community has just latched on to what we started. We sort of threw it out there. The community took it and ran with it. And so I think that the town of Blythewood would very much love a permanent pavilion for it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Are there any specific points that you would like me to speak to?
Who's here with you that represents vendors from the farmer's market this afternoon?
First of all, for the Blythewood Farmers Market is a 501c4 community welfare nonprofit.
It's all good. It's all good.
So it is its own nonprofit. So from my board of directors, I have Alan Kiner and Jason Murphy. And Jason Murphy is our founding farmer. And so he's both a farmer and on my board of directors. And then we also have Edward Blessing, who is a farmer here in Blythewood in the Cedar Creek community of Blythewood. And he's a farmer at the market as well. And so, and then we also have, you know, programs at the market, and Alice, who runs our produce club, is here as well.
Any questions for Ms. Barnum, council, before we get Mr. Muscati? All right, thank you, ma'am. You have.
It's good to see everybody again.
Thank you.
I can't tell you how much we appreciate all the effort that y'all put forth trying to raise some of this money that came from the state. We've had numerous, over the past 5 or more years, we've had numerous promises of funding from others, from other donors that has fallen through, and it's great. Hopefully that this will stick and give us a starting point that we can go ahead, at least, if we can't find matching funds, at least get something built. It's great that Mayor Bailey is here with us tonight. And this was not arranged ahead of time or anything like that. But it was Mayor Bailey in 2010, I believe, that signed the first contract on his way out the door after being unelected. And it was the first contract to go ahead and get started on all the site work in the park. And when you fast forward to today, it amazes me how much use the park gets. I didn't have any idea that it would get this kind of use when we first started. So it's great that Mayor Bailey could be here tonight to enjoy this moment. I feel like the foundation is still alive and well. Although we're getting ready to hold elections, it's going to have a new president, new officers. And I wish them well when they get into office. That's all I have to say about it.
So let me, before I open it up for comments, so for the foundation, what's the role of the foundation to try to, are you having good success at finding donors, or what can we do as a town council to assist?
We've had a hard time finding a donor that could make a donation that could allow us to get started on something along the lines of what's been approved by the state or what's been proposed by the state. Some of that is due to previous donors. For instance, the donor that allowed the amphitheater to get erected. It's almost like there aren't enough that we could fund. There aren't enough deep pockets that would allow us to get started building something. Farmers market is really the one that comes to mind as opposed to the rest of the work at the amphitheater. The farmers market has always been our priority. The foundation was set up to find donors that would be able to help with the construction of the park. And to a large extent, we didn't get the job done. And I take responsibility for that. But with this money from the state, I'd like to think that this is a new beginning for the foundation. As I said before, there'll be new officers. It's just a good starting point for a region, so to speak. And one of the things that council has allowed us to do over the years is to have an opinion, have a voice over what does get built and where it gets built. And we appreciate that. We like to look at ourselves as stewards or keepers of the park, so to speak, because we have a vested interest in it. We want to make sure this park continues to grow.
So the location of the farmer's market, is that still the vision of the foundation?
It is.
And that design piece behind me in the slides is still your vision? I know that's,
The only part that changed is the building flipped around when we had the master plan made or done a year ago, or a year better ago. And we would like to go back and look at that. We may go with that. We may put it right where it shows now. It's the same plot of land. It's just a building.
estimated construction costs. Have you pulled a new cost?
We've got an estimate that's being done now. I expect it to come in at 1.7 to 2 million. Is what I'm expecting.
Before we, members of council questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Brown.
Mr. Poland, if you wouldn't mind, before we get started, would you read for the public the staff report on this resolution? It's found on page 73 of our packet. If you wouldn't mind reading that for us?
Do you want the background or just the analysis?
All the above.
All right.
Thank you.
The background. During the 2025-2026 state budget process, the South Carolina General Assembly included an appropriation of $650,000 for the construction of a farmers market pavilion at Doco Meadows Park. As of the date of this report, the state has not finalized the budget process, and the earmarked funding has not been formally approved or made available to the town. At the request of the mayor, the attached resolution has been prepared for town council's consideration. The proposed resolution expresses the town's support for the farmers market pavilion project, recognizes the anticipated state funding, establishes a project completion goal, encourages additional fundraising efforts, and provides for vendor participation in the project design process. The proposed resolution is presented for council's consideration and direction. Analysis. The proposed resolution expresses town council's support for the continued development of a farmers market pavilion at Doco Meadows Park and recognizes the anticipated state appropriation for the project. No. Something normal? Okay. So make sure something. At the time of preparation of this report, however, the state budget process remains incomplete and the appropriation has not yet been finalized or made available to the town. Accordingly, project funding has not been formally accepted, and project implementation cannot begin until the state budget process is complete and any applicable grant or funding requirements have been satisfied. The resolution establishes a goal of substantial completion by the beginning of 2027 farmers market season. Staff notes that project implementation will require completion of project planning, design, engineering, permitting, procurement, bidding, and construction activities. The ultimate project schedule will depend upon the timing of state funding, project scope, procurement requirements, contractor availability, and other factors that cannot yet be determined. The resolution also authorizes the Doco Meadows Park Foundation to pursue fundraising and private donations to supplement the state appropriation. Staff notes that the foundation is not currently organized as an active 501c3 organization. This is per Pete. Should council wish to pursue private fundraising, additional action would be necessary to reestablish the foundation or identify another legally authorized entity to receive and administer charitable contributions. Notwithstanding the fundraising provisions, the town has the ability to proceed with planning and implementation of the project using available funding, subject to council direction and the availability of state appropriations. Staff findings. The proposed resolution is presented for town council consideration and direction. Staff recommends the council consider the implementation issues identified above when determining whether to adopt the resolution as presented or amend its provisions.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. Mr. Muscati, you stated that your organization is an active 501c3. Our town attorney disagrees. Who's correct?
Your town attorney's correct.
Oh.
We filed late. Our tax return. That's all being taken care of. By the end of next week, we expect to have our notification back.
But we're being asked to vote on this tonight. And as of today, you are not an active and registered 501c3.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Mr. Poland, in your town at Irmo, in your time at Irmo, I'm assuming that you guys have participated in several construction projects on behalf of the town. And do you feel that the request in this resolution is realistic?
I think the timeline would be very aggressive to go from just bidding out construction documents and planning to being open in April. I think it may be possible to be open next year, but I don't think it would be as soon as the beginning of the season.
Which would be when? March, April? Is that about
I
right?
believe that's when farmers market opens around April, correct?
So we're talking 8 months.
Yeah.
From soup to nuts.
Yeah, I
to
think
try to get this
12
thing
months
done.
is probably a more realistic timeline.
And that's assuming that there's no cost overruns, that everything just flows as smooth as it could be.
Yes.
Okay. And as of today, the town has not received the earmark from the state. Is that correct?
I think as of right now, the state hasn't decided who's getting, is that still true? I know the earmarks have been in flux the last week with the state budgeting process.
It's my understanding that the earmark is still on the state, in the state budget. However, no budget has been passed.
Correct.
They may still be in conference committee for all I know. So,
Councilman Brock, I believe they did pass the budget. They split earmarks out and referred them to a committee so they could get the budget passed. So the budget itself passed. Earmarks.
has it been passed or not?
The budget.
The budget has been passed, okay, but there's no earmarks.
There are no earmarks.
So as of right, but my point still stands. As of right now, there's no dollars coming to Blythewood.
Correct.
As of today, and that's what we have to base our information and our decision on, as of today.
May I make a comment also about information to base the decision on? I'm fiscally responsible, and I feel like I've got to make a good decision on behalf of everyone. So on June 4th, Mr. Mayor, I sent you an email. I'm data-driven in my decisions, and there have been things that have been mentioned tonight that I don't have access to or have received. You mentioned, you asked Michaela for data. You mentioned structural pieces from Mayor Bailey. You mentioned public input records. And Mr. Muscati, I hope I didn't say your name wrong, but you said, hopefully it will stick. I don't know that I can make a decision tonight based on hopefully it will stick, and now this revelation about the 5013 status. When the June 4th email that I asked from you, Mr. Mayor, which you didn't respond to me, and I don't know why, because I'd like to try to work together with you. I asked for concept drawings, cost estimates, engineering studies, funding documentation, meeting minutes, strategic planning documents, any prior council discussions that I was not privy to at the time, public input records or other materials that are developed over the past 13 years, which is the timeline that you referenced that this has been ongoing. So without that information, it is difficult for me to adhere to the reason that the legislature has separated earmarks from the budget. I don't know the status of that September. That would be great. But the legislature did that for a reason. They did that to address inadequate and unwise spending on behalf of the recipient of those earmarks. I don't want the town of Blythewood to be one of those recipients. I want us to do this right. I'm not opposed to a farmer's market. I love going to the farmer's market. But to do this right, you've got to have data to drive your decision. And when I asked the mayor for that, and I don't know why you didn't respond to me, there's just no reason. Why can't we work together? You have this information, but I don't. And it is a council decision. So for that reason, should we make a motion tonight and this go forward? Those are my concerns that I wanted to mention in public. Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor, question for Mr. Muscati. Hey, Paul, thank you for being here. Question, has the foundation board taken into account the McLean property and the overall vision of our usable space footprint, which was, by all practical purposes, doubled with the purchase of the McLean property? Has the foundation board considered that in light of the farmer's market location?
We did. We had a lengthy discussion about that. And what we decided was the hub of the park right now is the amphitheater, playground, and we foresee that the farmer's market would only add to that. We just felt like it was best to not try to split that off and build it over on our property. We do like the master plan that was devised for that, and would like to pursue that as much as possible. We haven't done any planning on that yet, but we did have that conversation. We feel like the best location is the original location, where it is right now.
And then I think the follow-up would be, and I know this may be outside the scope of the foundation, but if there was ever an additional building site for an administrative building, as town hall obviously is tapped out. I mean, if you've been in town hall, office space there is at a premium and there's not a lot of it. So as the town grows, I think the question is, in my mind, is the logical buildable footprint in the park? Or are we foregoing a buildable footprint for a future town hall in light of a farmer's market? Or would the foundation see possibly the McLean property for an administrative building?
I think, we talked briefly about this. I think the McLean property probably would give you a better slate to work with, only because it's an open piece of property, as opposed to if we were to use the lot at the farmer's market, you're limited obviously to that piece, that square, so to speak. I've always thought that if we had to build a new town hall, that property, even before it was bought, I felt like it would be best on a piece of property like that. But we did dwell on that conversation, but we did talk about that. And I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
And I just want to add a little bit, because we both were on the steering committee for when the engineers updated the master plan in 24. And it was not so much the Park Foundation or us, but the engineers who, design public spaces for a living. They were the ones who liked the idea of making this like an active pedestrian space with a farmer's market, playground, amphitheater. And so it's an active community space for pedestrians. And then administrative space being sort of removed where there can be more parking and that sort of thing. And even they recommended a building over there, sort of like the way this building is separated from
Sure.
that space too. So that was also.
Michael, I don't mean to interrupt you. Ms. Jordan, I'm getting a text that this mic at the podium is not working, so people at home can't hear. Michaela, and I'll follow up with you and Paul. Is it, where I'm struggling is a couple of the points that Ms. Hovis brought up, Councilman Brock brought up. We just completed budgeting, and this wasn't in our budget. The earmark that was requested, and we tried to steer that toward more of a strategic goal setting, which we had. It came out of strategic planning with 5 goals. The building of the farmer's market before the start of the 27 market was not one of those pillars. Not that the farmer's market is not important. That's not what I'm saying. But with the resolution, from my perspective, it feels like we're being pigeonholed into a driver that, by all intents and purposes, was the mayor's. He drove the earmark. He ignored an email that we said, can we please steer this away from the farmer's market because of strategic planning? And now the earmark is on the verge of being awarded, and we're being asked to talk about a resolution to get it done before April. Is that the foundation or the farmer's market driver, or is that the mayor's driver? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I think it's more say a foundation.
I think the foundation is trying to get this done as best we can. We've been.
But we didn't
Then
budget.
why have we not seen anybody in 3 years?
We haven't had anything to talk about.
And with all due
Well, if
respect,
this is
Because
a-
we were redoing, and up until, and it was in 24, we paused everything because of the purchase of the McLean property And the foundation was asked to redraw the master plan. And so that's what we worked on that's why the last 3 or 4 years we haven't been doing any fundraising.
Yeah, but this resolution would effectively, because let me ask you a question. How many dollars have you raised in the last 5 years? How many dollars has the foundation raised in the last 5 years?
0.
That's not a really good track record. I'm not trying to be mean. That's just a fact. So
But
what?
we haven't been actively, it's what I'm saying. We
Well, okay,
haven't.
but it's been my understanding that this has been a concept since 2011. So why has everybody been twiddling their thumbs?
We haven't been twiddling our thumbs.
Thank you.
Well, again, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm looking at your website, docomeadows.org/projects, and it's got community pavilion with the same image behind me on there. And it says escalated through 2026 to be bid and built by late 25, early 26. Construction should start in October or November or earlier and finish 9 to 11 months later. Estimated cost, if funded by 2026, $2.25 million. I don't know about the other members of council, but if I ask Councilman McKendrick, I would say, Councilman McKendrick, do you think that number is realistic or do you think that number is low?
I would probably agree with Paul. That number's probably a little low, but you don't know, that's another concern. You don't know what this ultimate footprint looks like. I mean, we have a conceptual drawing, but we don't have certainly construction plans in front
We've
of us.
got the construction plans.
Okay, question. Do these plans have to go before the Board of Architectural Review?
They have.
They've already gone by the board?
What we would do, they've already been through, but
How long ago?
that's what I'm getting ready to tell you. They went through when we first bid this, they would have to go back through to update the code requirements. And I'm assuming there's code requirements that have to be updated.
Yeah.
Sure. So, Ms. Michaela, when you and the mayor worked together, and again, council was excluded from this, to put in a request for $2 million in an earmark request. Y'all settled on 1.5, might have wanted 2. Why was it $2 million? And you can let the mayor answer this, but why was it $2 million? Why was that the first number that you initially proposed and then you settled on 1.5? Why 1.5 million?
It's incorrect to say that we worked together. He asked me for some information and data, it was like number of guests, number of vendors, number of years in operation, and I'm happy to give you guys any numbers that you might want to have about this. And we've, the Park Foundation has made requests at the State House before, and nothing was getting through. This is something that we've been trying to do for a long time, and we've been working with Richland County, and then we were also trying to work with the state. And so because we knew we needed a big chunk before we could start looking for the smaller chunks to finish it all up. And I think that the mayor was working with some of the generalized numbers that he got from us.
I think 2 million came simply because it was the upper end of the range when I would say 1.75 to 2 million.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make sure they got enough money. They don't want to leave it short without being obscene about it.
I think we understand that, but I think it's also safe to say if this number is 2 years old, that those costs have gone up. They certainly haven't come down.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Barno, you mentioned Richland County. How much money has Richland County pledged for this project?
They strung us along for a few years and then none.
So let's just say for argument's sake that on the high end, we'll just say it's $2.4 million. We've allegedly, because it hasn't been approved yet, got 25%. My question for anybody in this room is where's the other 75% going to come from? And then once we get the money to build it, if we get the money to build it, the mayor pointed out that the park is our greatest asset. Well, your greatest asset can very quickly become your greatest liability. I mean, look at this facility. The last 2 years, it's operated in negative $130,000 and then $170,000. Does anybody have any idea how much it would cost to operate this pavilion on an annual basis? And if it's a farmer's market, are you able to operate and fund this facility on an annual basis?
So the concept of a farmer's market in this town, again, was not mine. It was your predecessors. And the concept was that there would be a building that could house a farmer's market as well as other social gatherings. And that, price list that we saw, updated earlier this evening would then also include rental fees for this pavilion, and it would be used for outdoor weddings, rehearsal dinners, family reunions, birthday parties. And I have a feeling that it would be a very popular place for gatherings.
I think the predecessors would make the same argument about this place, yet it continues to operate in the red. So you see the concern that some of us might feel that we've already got one non-performing or underperforming asset. Why would we necessarily want to bring another online? And I've been to the farmer's market. I come to the farmer's market. I buy produce from one of your farmers, great blackberries. Is there anything wrong with the way the current farmer's market operates?
It's the Wild West, There's nothing out there right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen on Wednesday if somebody comes to the park only on Mondays. And we have to, pioneer style, build it every Wednesday and then clean it up every evening. And when you have a permanent location for anything, it brings so much more participation, and it will bring more participation on hot days, more participation on rainy days. And I think that it just kind of, people don't always want to participate in something that's, difficult to be part of, and the tent community can be difficult to be a part of.
It sounds like to me that the intention is not to have a farmer's market pavilion, that the intention to have is a general use pavilion. I understand that
Yes.
the legislature wants specific data when they give money away. But all those other ideas you mentioned sound good. The wedding rehearsals, the family reunions, all of that. I haven't seen anything. To me, this is all about the farmer's market, which I think is operational, 4 or 5 months out of the year. So I like the idea that you're presenting about it being a general purpose. I just don't know that we have that in the resolution or really anywhere in the writing that I've seen.
Well, Ms. Hovis, I would also counter that and say we actually have a general purpose facility. We are sitting in it tonight, and it continues to underperform.
Well, if I can say, and I'm sure I'm going to reiterate some things that have already been said, I think that for us having to make this decision tonight, because what it actually says is it may cost $2 million, it may cost $2.5 million. We get 650. We've got to eat some of that up with, the cost of, trying to get the structure built. But then it puts the town on the hook for an unknown amount. It could be upwards of $1.5 million, $1.75 million to build an open air. I mean, if it's built like this, an open air structure, which, it is nice. And I hate for people to think that, we're anti-farmers market, but that's possibly $1.5 million out of the town's coffers that we would be asked to put up when nobody can really give an answer. And I also think, having been a fundraiser, it's like if this has been talked about, I just got on council in 23. This has been talked about for 5, 10, 11 years. In 11 years, we've not raised $5 towards a farmer's market. And in one night, you want the town to make a decision to possibly, because if we were to vote on this, we're literally voting not knowing how much money the town would be on the hook for. That's the thing. I think that if more information was brought to us, if we knew definitively what we were looking at, I'm not saying that it would pass. I'm just saying that, we would have more to work with, because there's not a single person sitting in this audience that would give a blank check and just say, hey, look, build it and they'll come. If it's your money, you are not writing a blank check saying, hey, if it's 2 million, if it's 2.5 million, because then what will happen is you'll have the residents on us saying, you've now spent $2 million or, of the town's money. And I guess and it's very aggressive. I'm not a builder, I'm a finance person, but to say substantial completion by the beginning of 27's farmers market, I think that's really aggressive. And I guess my position is, where does the foundation come in? Is the town going to be able to count on the foundation for any type of support? Because again, if it's been a priority, if it's been brought up, I just got here in 23. If it's been brought up for all these years, why hasn't anybody been actively working to raise any type of money? If it was $100,000, at least we could say, hey, look, there's a concerted effort to raise some money. And like I said, I think that people get worked out. Things get put on social media. People get worked up about it. Oh, we're having a farmer's market. Then you're anti this person and anti that person. But my thing is, we are charged with spending your money. And for you to ask us to say, hey, let's write a blank check, that's tough. And to make a decision tonight, I know that I couldn't do it, but, I just don't know how we move forward, because it's like we don't really have any hard numbers.
The Park Foundation has not asked anybody to write a blank check. And also, we have been unsuccessful in fundraising. That doesn't mean that we have not been fundraising. Like I said, there was a long period of time with Richland County and some other large donors. So we were trying to secure large donations, and several have slipped through our fingers. And we feel like
Left on a hook for that. So we'd be left holding the bag.
no, I'm talking about in the past. You asked, you said we have not been doing anything for the past X number of years. And I was saying, this is what we've been doing for this is what I was just saying what we've been doing in the past. And there has been a lot of fundraising efforts that have been not for small amounts, but for large amounts. And those large amounts keep slipping through our fingers. And we fear that this gift from the state may also slip through our fingers. And so, but we would, yes.
So let's say, for instance, it didn't slip through your fingers and we got $650,000. Where's the rest of the money coming from?
The Park Foundation will fundraise if we have something else to work with. I mean, like
Well, yeah,
matching funds.
I totally understand. And to some degree, I think, because I think I know where I stand if we have to vote on this evening. Number one, under the resolution, number one says, the town of Blythewood hereby recognizes and accepts the state funding awarding in the amount of $650,000 for the purpose of supporting the construction of a farmer's market pavilion in Doco Meadows Park. And we all are sitting here tonight knowing that is not the case. That is not a true statement. So how can we vote on something accepting? So I don't want my vote to come across as not supportive of the farmer's market. And at the same time, I said on council, when we set aside $700,000 matching funds for a farmer's market, we put that in the budget 2 consecutive years running. And I was behind the scenes working on a donor.
I know.
And if he weren't selling his company, he would have donated. But he put actions out there that prevented him from stepping up and doing what he thought was a great vision. So I'm not saying those efforts haven't been made, but I want you to recognize it's the actions of one person that pigeonholes a council in the situation we're in tonight, and that's Mayor Griffin. Backup work with Doug, work with council, get it in next year's strategic planning. Let's go forward in next year's strategic budget workshop. We are just 1 year into a budget that doesn't include any of the money we're talking about. 1 month into a budget that doesn't include any of it. There was no ask made. There was no plans designed. There was no implementation schedule put out. There were no bids asked for. It just is mind blowing to me because we try to triangulate each other. Well, I want Michaela to hear me when I say I support the farmer's market. I support the farmer's market of Blythewood. I can't support this resolution because it's not factual. There's not $650,000 for us to accept. When there is, we will gladly accept it. Doug will deposit it the next day it arrives. But we're just not in that position tonight, and I hope that makes sense to you.
You know, yes, that does make sense, and I appreciate that timeline explanation. Yeah, thank you.
I think the timeline that was given was aggressive. I agree with Mr. Pollard.
And was that the foundation's timeline?
It was previously, but not since hearing this recent, state funds.
Mr. Mayor, I think we've discussed this
Thank you.
at length. I would call for the questions. I mean, we don't even have a motion. We're not even discussing a motion, so.
No, we don't have to, Pete, we don't have to vote on the item. No, we don't.
It says action item.
I mean,
Still,
I guess something needs to be done with it, in a motion postpone indefinitely or motion to table, just something to move it in some way.
all right. Council, y'all heard directive. Postpone indefinitely, table. Revisit this in September when the state has cleared their earmark budget.
Right, I think Mr. Mayor,
One of each.
postpone indefinitely, maybe it's a misnomer, but my understanding of postpone indefinitely always gets moved to the next agenda. But I mean, I think there can be a motion to postpone until a specific time also. Like say, for instance, postpone until the regular meeting.
Thank you. Or that. Mayor Bailey, before you leave, sir, I know we finna entertain. I want to ask you a question because this part was your vision. Are we in the right direction for your vision? And there may be some things that are, this is not a us against them or thing. It's just fulfilling the mission of past administrations, giving the citizens something that they desire and ask for, as we see in this room this evening. You were in the seat when it was just trees or concrete mill.
That's correct. What happened was we were walking around campaigning. A lot of members, a lot of people in the community said it'd be great we have a farmer's market. I was running for council at that time. I asked the mayor, I said, look, don't you think we can have a farmer's market here in Blythewood? And he said, that's in the too hard box. So what happened was that within the first 90 days that I was a mayor, I asked the town administrator, what's the plan that we can get this farmer's market up? Can we get it up in 90 days? He said, I'll get up in 45 days, which he did. And the emphasis was number one, that we'd have this space that people could come out and fellowship and get to know the neighbors and also get something that's fresh and probably good and healthy for you. So that was primary. Then we started talking about having space to be able to rent out things of that nature and cover. So we said, that could be a multi-purpose use. But what I really find interesting now is that you got all this dialogue between the council up here. Oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. It's not in the budget. Was McLean property in the budget? No. So don't talk that noise. You know, you went out and got the McLean property, didn't have it in the budget. Now we want all these others, diagrams. So I don't know what the pushback is from my perspective. Having been on council and the mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Council, you heard from our attorney about motions. Would council entertain a motion to postpone indefinitely pending the state earmarks coming through budget sometime in September? I heard one of the media say. All right. I'm gonna ask one more time, would you guys entertain a motion to postpone indefinitely until state earmarks are cleared in the state budget, proposed sometime in September?
Mr.
All right.
Mayor, are you making a motion or are you asking someone to make?
I'm asking.
I'm sorry?
Asking?
For a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 'Cause I was just gonna say.
Because if nobody does, twice and then it dies from lack of motion.
Well, yeah, if there's a motion and you don't get a second, that's that.
Well, I'll make the motion. Yeah, I was asking council, would they make a motion? Would that still classify? If no motion is made by council, it dies from a lack of a motion.
Yes, most likely in this presiding officer, I think you can just move on to the next.
That was my plan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All right,
Action is that, just help me understand as the newest member here. If it's an action item, we don't take an action on the original.
I don't think anybody can be forced
Forced.
to make a motion.
Nope.
So, if
Okay.
no one is inclined to make a motion, I mean, we can't sit here all night. So I think the mayor has the inherent power to just move on to the next item at that point.
Okay, thank you.
all right, I asked twice, so we're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda. Item G, approval of an annual maintenance contract with National Alert Security System to provide security camera services. Mr. Poland.
Okay, at present, we do not have a contract with anyone to do the maintenance for the cameras. And as stated in the staff report, we've spent, well over $100,000 over the last 10 or 12 years on the camera systems here. And I think it just makes good sense to protect that work. And we have a very good relationship with National Alert Security. I know that our public service director, Jason Mosley, is very, very happy with the service that they provide. They've always been very good about getting out here on time and, quickly and solving problems. And frankly, if we aren't looking at, having a contract with them, raises the question of, do we want to go somewhere else? Do we need to buy an entirely new camera setup to do that? So I think if nothing else, we should continue with them until we make a long-term decision. But I know staff is very pleased with their work.
Thank you, sir. Questions?
Questions? I have the question.
Ms. Hovis.
So are we happy with the maintenance that they've provided, and has staff had an opportunity to review the findings from the safety task force that indicated that there are cameras on this property that are aimed in directions that pick up nothing, that are cameras that are not functioning, cameras that should be places where cameras are not? To me, that is a maintenance issue, and we're going to renew the contract and disregard everything that the safety task force created, which was a document that was prepared for us free of charge by the Richland County Sheriff's Office, that out in the normal competitive market would garner several $1,000s for that type of information.
I mean, at this time, because we don't have a contract with them, we have not asked them to do any work, because if we have the contract, the fees are considerably less. And so that's why we're coming to you now, hoping to get a contract so that we can move forward with requesting them to do stuff. And I know Mr. Perryman from National Alert is here if you have any questions for him. But I think we'd all like to get those cameras, working properly, aiming properly, and doing what they're supposed to do.
Where's our previous maintenance contract been? To whom have we contracted for maintenance on our existing cameras?
Honestly, I mean, I know we've worked with National Alert for years. We just don't have a contract with them presently.
All right, well, to me, maintenance includes properly checking to ensure that the cameras are providing the service that they're supposed to provide, which that report revealed is not the case. You've answered my question, thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, council? All right, we'll be looking for a motion to approve as recommended by staff.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question before we?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Is this, is it renewed? Okay, this is a 24-month equipment warranty. Are we renewing this annually or every 2 years?
I believe it's just on a month-by-month basis, if I understand correctly. Mr. Perryman, do you have any, if I may?
Is it?
It is monthly,
Okay,
and anytime that we're called to do maintenance, we schedule maintenance, immediately.
okay.
I think you mentioned that you've been very happy with our response time. So as you mentioned earlier, this is the town's biggest asset, and I would definitely recommend protecting it. So, I mean, it's a very low maintenance plan. The second application is significantly more because it's a 60-month warranty, and we would proactively come to the location and check cameras quarterly. In between those times, if there's cameras down, then of course we would come out to take care of that.
So you'd be checking if a camera is pointed at a tree and not at you'd be going through all the cameras and looking at that, so.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, and we were 99% finished with the new additions, and we're waiting, really, I've been back and forth with Mr. Driggers about getting a separate network, which you and I have discussed as well, to put these cameras on. We don't want to go through your firewall. It could be a security risk, so we don't want to go through your firewall. So a separate service is recommended just for the camera system. I think that would be the wisest thing to do. Then that way you don't have to worry about your firewall getting disrupted.
Were you responsible for providing that proactive service to the town before this contract, should it go through? In the past, did you do proactive measures to ensure that the cameras had proper placement, et cetera?
There was not a proactive contract before.
Okay,
It was on on option one.
just
Before.
install and go.
And come as required or as we're called. I mean, we have over 1,000 customers, so I can't check cameras,
But you could now if we do this, because you said
Sure.
you would come out quarterly, so you couldn't, but you can now. What is your background? I'm just curious in security.
Yeah.
What is your background in security?
Well, I've been with National Alert for 12 years. 12 years. So that's my background.
I was referencing training, education as it relates to surveillance.
Oh, my.
Sure, I've had training courses through National Alert that they've provided. I've been trained by multiple members of National Alert. So, yeah, and time on the ground. And also, we've we've been building this system for just over 10 years. I might add with 0 complaints. We've had issues, of course, that we've had to work through, as anyone would with a 130 camera, 129 camera system. It's a big system. So we've worked through the issues proficiently. And I'm not aware of any complaints that we've had over the last 10 years. So.
All right, Mr. Poland, anything else to add? All right,
Yes, sir. We just recommend the $725 a month option.
Mayor Pro Tem Fripp, you good? Okay, all right.
Mr. Perriman, just one question. I see Mr. Driggers and you had some email questions back and forth. And your recommendation was that we needed the maintenance plan in place by 3:30. But if I'm reading the quote correctly, you've prorated that, correct?
Yes, there was a deadline of 3:30, which we're obviously past, but I was willing to pick this up if it's prorated back to
Okay. Thank you very much.
April.
Further discussion, council? Be looking for a motion to approve as recommended.
So moved.
Motion made, looking for a second.
Second.
Second made, discussion. Roll call vote, Ms. Thurston.
Councilwoman Hovis. Councilman Brock.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Fripp.
Yes.
Councilman McHenrick.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, thank you. Passes 3-2. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of a contract renewing RCI of South Carolina to provide building inspection services. Mr. Poland.
Okay, so again, like the National Alert, we've been with RCI for a number of years, and our contract is coming up for renewal. And so I have met with the representatives from that organization. And as I stated earlier tonight, there were some concerns about the fee structure and just in terms of our fees being considerably lower than our neighboring communities. And so with tonight's passage of the ICC building valuation data, we are able to keep our current split, which I believe is 70-30. And there's also a different fee structure that works out in our favor for the Scout building. And so this will keep us with them for the next few years.
No, so no substantial changes from the prior contract.
No, not at all. I think the only change actually was adding in a section that says that we are allowed to break the contract at some point if we chose to. There was no out clause prior, but if we ever wanted to hire a building inspector on our own, that would make it difficult. So we did add one section to it.
And staff recommends approval.
That's correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, discussion. Hear none, roll call vote, Ms. Osh.
Councilwoman Hovis. Yes. Councilman Brock.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fripp.
Yes.
Councilman McHenrick.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, passes 5-0. Be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, resolution.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do very much apologize for that policy not getting into your packet. I know we had a lot of computer issues on Friday, so I'm glad we're able to get this. And thank you to our marketing and communications person, Jordan, for taking care of that. So this is just the second part to the procurement ordinance. This would not even go into effect until next month upon the completion of the second reading. But this is the policy that is enacted by that ordinance. And so it kind of explains directly how like competitive sealed bidding works, or what the amounts are that a person can spend, how just in general how procurement will work in this town. And so the main issue is that we have small purchases go up to $1,000. They do not require oral or written bids. Purchase of items from $1,000 to $5,000 is oral competitive bids. $5,000 to $25,000 is written competitive bids. And then over that is where you would have an actual, like an RFP and that kind of policy.
Mr. Pullen, where does the threshold cutoff for what does and does not come to council? Because it sounds like the ceiling has been raised.
The ceiling has been raised. Ultimately, well, two things. If it's already budgeted, I think that I'd have to go back to the policies there was a few weeks ago. But if it's already been budgeted, then y'all have already approved it.
Such as the new truck that was put into service in the last 2 months.
And so even though the truck is $55,000, it wouldn't have to come back to you because you've already.
We
approved it.
appropriated for said truck.
That's right. So if there's anything that's not budgeted, and frankly, anything that's more expensive that y'all may not, like say the truck we all knew about in June, and then we ordered it July 1st. I'm not going to bring that back to y'all. But if it's something, further down the line, I definitely want to bring it back, whether it's a vote or just a mention in the staff report that, these are things that y'all have allowed that we're wanting to move forward with. Ultimately, staff isn't going to be purchasing anything without council being very aware. But I don't think you'd have to vote officially for anything unless it gets over, unless it's not budgeted.
Okay.
So I'll have to go back and check.
Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll be looking for a motion to approve resolution 2026.00 for adopting a town purchasing policy.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy.
Motion made,
Second.
second discussion.
Yes, town attorney, this resolution could be amended in the future with an additional resolution with requiring only one vote by council.
Correct.
Thank you.
Discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote, Ms. Durst.
Councilwoman Hovis. Yes. Councilman Brat.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fritz.
Yes.
Councilman McHenry.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes, passes 5-0. Council, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made. Second discussion.
Yep. Mr. Poland, in Title III Administration, Chapter 30, Section 0.02 Agenda, under paragraph B, it says regular monthly meetings. The regular monthly meetings are to be held in accordance with the schedule approved in subsection A above. Matters to be considered by council. The regular monthly meeting shall be placed on written agenda by the town manager and publicly posted at the town hall meeting place by the town clerk at least 24 hours prior to the regular meeting. This next sentence is what I'd like to zone in on. Council members must submit agenda requests to the town manager no less than 7 days prior to the regular monthly meeting. If I'm reading and interpreting this correctly, any member can submit any item for any particular reason, and it is required to be on the agenda just by simply asking for it.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, with council's blessing, can you and with the town attorney look to amend this to make it such that it requires 2 members of council to submit in writing an item for the agenda within 7 days prior to the meeting date? So we would need a text amendment for this because otherwise we're going to be loaded with all sorts of political junket every month just because we can.
Yeah, we will certainly look into that and bring something for council's consideration at the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right, further discussion? Motion made, motion second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Good night.